comprehensive approach, unquote, to restructure Malaysia's economy. The endorsement was made by 24 executive directors of IMF's executive board based on reports made by a staff team sent to Malaysia to collect economic and financial information and discuss with officials on Malaysia's economic developments and policies. In Washington, IMF's executive director for the Southeast Asia group of countries, Datuk Zamani Abdul Ghani, said the executive board, which met last Monday, was supportive of Malaysia and wanted Malaysia to get out of the region's economic turmoil as well as to regain steady, sustainable growth. Datuk Zamani added Malaysia was also commended on the strength of its fiscal policy, its good budget discipline and its relatively well-developed supervisory and regulatory framework financial system. Malaysia's intention to lower credit growth from past levels of 28 to 30% were very much welcomed. The directors encouraged authorities to keep it close to the bottom of the 12 to 15% range. The board also suggested that a more forceful use of interest rate policy in response to possible renewed exchange market pressures was a prerequisite for market stability and an enduring return of confidence. Owners of low-cost houses will not be allowed to sell their units for above the 25,000 ringgit price limit. Deputy Housing and Local Government Minister Dato' Azmi Khalid said the price ceiling will stay even if the owners had done renovations to their houses. Dato' Azmi said the move implemented through the Syarikat Perumahan Negara Berhad was to control the sale of low-cost houses by owners who took the opportunity to sell their units at inflated prices. Apart from the price ceiling, owners of low-cost houses can only sell their units to those named in the state government or local authorities waiting list. The computerized system now being implemented nationwide, which records applicants' data, will ensure such units to be sold only to eligible parties. Although the water rationing in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor has been in operation for some time now, there are still some parts which have not received their supply of water according to the rationing schedule. One of those areas is Kawasan 2 in Sri Kembangan, Selangor. The residents here only got their supply of water 2 days ago. Before that, they had been without water for more than a month.
In beginning of this year, the people here have to wake up in the morning at 2 a.m. in order to fill up the water. And that water only come from 2 a.m. until about 4 a.m. And these people really, they really disturb their lifestyle of the people here. And when they come to this Chaduan, the problem getting worse. This area totally didn't get any drop of water.
Would also be extended to army officers. The move is consistent with the National Anti-Haze Plan. The MCA has entered into an agreement with an IT company to help about 10,000 businesses create their business websites free of charge. MCA President Dato' Sri Dr. 06101985 says this will help these businesses gain instant access to the world market. The MOU was signed between the MCA IT Committee and Asia Electronic Publications Sdn Berhad. Dato' Sri Dr. Ling called on all parties to adapt to the new changes brought about by technology advancement. He said the Multimedia Super Corridor project, initiated by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Mahathir, will help the country leapfrog into the information age. The people must not resist such changes, but take on them, as the process promises exciting prospects and opportunities for all Malaysians. Amendments to the Employment Act 1955 is aimed at providing better conditions for workers in line with the country's development program. Deputy Human Resources Minister Dato' Abdul Kadir Sheikh Fazil says The amendments to be tabled in the next Parliament sitting will not add extra costs to employers. Dato Abdul Qadir said the amendments would, among other things, provide more opportunities for women to join the labour market, encourage flexi working hours and half-day shifts. The new provisions also require companies with excess workers to retrench foreign workers first. The power of the Labour Court will also be further enhanced under the amendments. The Labour Court will be allowed to decide on non-manual workers' claims, drawing a monthly salary of between 1,500 and 5,000 ringgit. An 8% interest will be imposed on employers who delay the payments of claims after the Labour Court's judgment. A higher penalty of 10,000 ringgit will be imposed on employers who defaulted. Dato Abdul Qadir said Sabah and Sarawak are excluded from the new amendments. The Deputy Minister earlier launched a forum entitled The Role of Human Resource in the Current Economic Turmoil, organized by the Malaysian National Chambers of Trade and Industry.
With the workers' concern.
And on to foreign news. Russian President Boris Yeltsin moved a step closer on Tuesday to securing parliamentary approval for his controversial choice of Prime Minister by winning the backing of the lower house Speaker. Gennady Selezyov, the communist, had earlier met Yeltsin over the State Duma's rejection of 35-year-old ex-banker Sergei Kirienko in a first vote last Friday. Selezyov's comments made clear he believed it wiser for the Duma to accept a flawed prime minister rather than trigger its own automatic dissolution and an early election by rejecting him 3 times. Selezyov's appeal was a breakthrough for Yeltsin, who has been struggling to win approval for Kirienko since he sacked the previous government on March 23rd to try to revitalize economic reforms. The Communist Party and its main allies in the Duma have vowed to oppose Kirienko again in Friday's second vote, meaning a third decisive vote could be required. More bargaining may be required before the final outcome becomes clear. U.S. stocks opened higher Tuesday after another favorable reading on inflation and some respectable profit reports by several major companies. After 1 hour of trading on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 47.58 at 9,059.88, flirting with its record close of 9,033.88 set 2 weeks ago. European stock markets advanced strongly on Tuesday, with some setting new highs as news of the latest 2 giant U.S. banking mergers reignited speculative buying. Bank shares across Europe surged, helping to drive the London, Frankfurt, Brussels and Lisbon markets. In London, the blue-chip FTSE 100 index rose as much as 45 points to a peak of 6,150.5, surpassing its previous peak of 6,134.9 set on April 7th. In Germany, the Frankfurt stock market put on an enthusiastic performance on Tuesday after a long Easter weekend to move into record territory. The DAX broke up through 5,400 points during the session, but gave up part of the gain to finish at 4,374.78, up 1.08%. In France, the CAC 40 indicator was up 37.66 or 0.97% to stand at 3,932.14. A tornado in South China's Hunan province killed 17 people and injured more than 50. State radio reported that more than 7,500 village homes were destroyed in the twister on Saturday. The twister caused significant damage in 10 towns and overturned 28 boats in the Shuifu Reservoir. Freakish weather, including tornadoes and hail in neighboring Guangdong, killed another 3 and injured at least 2. In the United States, Missouri was the latest to be hit by a devastating tornado after a series of tornadoes ripped through the American South last week. On Monday, the twister tore through the area near the town of Fulton, destroying buildings and overturning cars, but causing only minor injuries and no deaths. In Maryland Heights, the roof of a school was ripped off while windows were completely blown out as a result of the high winds that struck the area. Despite the high degree of damage to buildings and vehicles, only minor injuries were reported. There were no fatalities. The tornado struck at mid-afternoon on a stormy spring day in Missouri, where thunderstorms had produced hail in parts of western Missouri and heavy rain along local interstate highways. Authorities said it appeared that the tornado made contact with the ground, bounced back up and touched down again briefly in northwest St. Louis County. There were power outages over large areas as crews worked to repair lines. A car dealership was damaged by the tornado, with chunks of asphalt strewn around the parking lots full of cars. The storms shook up residents of Missouri, but proved not to be as deadly as
in Kosovo Serbs. At Pristina University, Serb students returned to classes after an agreement was signed to fully reintegrate the university in April. At the end of March, 2 British men are planning to make history when they attempt to turn fiction into fact and fly around the world in 80 days. Brian Milton and Keith Reynolds are making the 125th anniversary of Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days by following as closely as possible the balloon route to its hero Phileas Fogg. But unlike the hero, the duo are attempting the journey in a microlight. Milton and Reynolds will start an epic voyage across the globe in a microlight from London, and they hope to arrive back there in July. The journey will be undertaken in an aircraft, which Milton describes as a large hang glider with a motorbike slung underneath. It will be the smallest and lightest aircraft to attempt such a dangerous journey. The 80-day round-the-world flight will take the 2 pilots over 25 countries, covering a distance of more than 24,000 miles. If successful, it will set new records for microlight flying. Winning films at the 70th Annual Oscar Awards will take home much more than a coveted golden trophy. Success at the Academy Awards can mean even bigger success where it really counts, the bottom line.
That's not the point. Goodbye, I miss you. Goodbye.
And the winner is Leonardo DiCaprio. Wait a minute, that can't be right. He wasn't even up for an Oscar. Nominated or not, DiCaprio is sailing all right, all the way to the bank. DiCaprio, who was paid $2 million for his performance in Titanic, is expected to command upwards of $10 million for future roles, based on the film's success, and of course its 14 Oscar nominations. So even without a trophy, success on Oscar night can make a career. But all personalities aside, a golden statue can take a film from relative obscurity to box office smash, just about overnight.
If you don't like the way things are, Phil, you can change it.
A film such as Afterglow could see big returns if Julie Christie wins for Best Actress. The critically acclaimed film was one virtually no one saw. It took in less than $2 million in the U.S., but Christie's success on Oscar night could mean millions more. Britain's The Full Monty is another example. Monty cost under $6 million to make and has already taken in more than $200 million worldwide. The film could gyrate its way to more green, both at the box office and through rentals if it wins. Entertainment analysts say it all depends where a movie is in its distribution cycle as to whether the Oscars will have a major impact.
A movie like Titanic, which already has done extremely well, probably will not get a big boost at the box office, but will get a huge boost in video. And then movies that have already gone through the theatrical pipeline but have yet to come out in video will also get a big boost.
And as expected, the film Titanic sailed through the Academy Awards in Hollywood, tying a record for most Oscars won. But there were some surprises at the ceremony.
Goes to Titanic.
Titanic, a film first ridiculed by some critics for running up more than $200 million in production costs, steamed its way into the Academy Awards record books. The smash box office hit tied Ben-Hur's all-time mark of 11 Oscars. Titanic's haul included Best Picture and Best Director for James Cameron.
I'm the king of the world!
Jack Nicholson grabbed his third Academy Award for his performance as an obsessive-compulsive novelist in As Good as It Gets, and he skipped over the lines on the awards stage. Nicholson previously won for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Terms of Endearment.
I don't know, I've had a sinking feeling all night right up till here.
Nicholson's co-star Helen Hunt added a Best Actress Oscar to the 2 Emmys she's won for television.
The fact that this happened for this film, which is as close to my heart as anything I've ever been a part of, it's, you know, wilder than my wildest dreams.
In As Good As It Gets, Hunt played a single parent and the only waitress willing to put up with Jack Nicholson's obnoxious character.
How old are you? If I was to guess from your eyes, I'd say you were 50.
If I went by your eyes, I'd say you were kind.
I just want to thank everybody I've ever met in my entire life.
An emotionally overwhelmed Kim Basinger won Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal of a glamorous, high-priced call girl in L.A. Confidential.
You're different, Officer White. You're the first man in 5 years who didn't tell me I look like Veronica Lake inside of a minute.
Best Supporting Actor Robin Williams as the compassionate but tough psychotherapist in Good Will Hunting.
The question is whether or not you're perfect for each other. That's the whole deal. That's what intimacy is all about.
My father was a very elegant man, and he seriously said that to me when I said I wanted to be an actor. He said, fine, have a backup profession like welding. And I went to my first welding class, and the teacher had one eye, and I went, I have to go.
The 20-something actors who starred in and wrote Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, won Best Original Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, L.A. Confidential. Stanley Donen, director of classic musicals such as Singing in the Rain, offered a fitting reaction to his Lifetime Achievement Award.
Heaven. I'm in heaven.
But after all, Titanic did most of the singing, also winning Best Original Song and Dramatic Score in the film's Night to Remember.
And that will do it for Tuesday's night's edition of News Scan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Farah Jaffa. Salam Mesra.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's thought for the day will be discussing on the subject of the role of mosques. قال
真是可恨呐！敌机，阿斯卡，好，苏醒的时候，我也会再一次的苏醒。
接下来，这是精彩的音乐节目《音乐无限》。
您带来第一手的财经资讯，让您正确选择各项投资项目。冷静分析，专业评论，是您投资理财的最佳伙伴。财经速递，星期1至6晚上9点，时事直通车时段内播出，凤凰卫视中文台。时事直通车之财经速递，是由中国银行赞助播出，选择中国银行，实现心中理想。
偌大个天地，由我当导游，带你看个通通透透。
完全时尚手册出发了，踏足世界每个角落，享受天地原有的淳朴美丽，见识地球另一端的广大领域。假如旅游世界，足遍天下是你的梦想，这里就是实现梦想的起点。
准备好了吗？我要带您环游世界喽！
今天晚上9点半，凤凰卫视中文台实现周末任你游。
全球最有看头的羽毛球赛又一次粉墨登场，利普顿世界羽毛球大奖赛总决赛，本季的高潮项目，看各地顶尖好手为此展开一场龙争虎斗，决战于狂热的雅加达。国际羽坛的最高奖金究竟花落谁家？利普顿世界羽毛球大奖赛总决赛，星期3卫视体育台现场直播。
星期6晚上，周6影院，离乡背井，身心俱疲之后，才发现家的可爱。
觉得在富良野是那么的温暖。
我是在这长大的。
相同的甜蜜总是无法避免别离的凄楚。北国而来之还乡，周6晚上9点半，凤凰卫视中文台。凤凰卫视中文台，开创新视野，创造新文化。